I've got some great news for you. For the first time ever, I'm going to do a live on YouTube. I'm going to respond for 2 hours to your general questions about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, the shared fantasy, healing and recovery following the dissolution of the relationship, and many, many other topics, divorce, custody, general questions for 2 hours, and then 1 hour with members only. I'm going to respond to personal questions and give personal advice, not only general. And all this is going to take place on the Narcissism Summaries YouTube channel. Narcissism Summaries YouTube channel. Google it or go to the description for a link. The live is going to take place on the 5th of January. 5th of January, mark it in your calendar. So, 2 hours, general questions about all these topics, and then another hour, personal advice, members only. This is not on my channel. Pay attention, it's not on my channel. It's on the Narcissism Summaries YouTube channel on January 5th. And I'm not going to repeat it another time. You're going to be there. See you all. Computers are like victims. If you think of malware and viruses, computer viruses, as narcissists and psychopaths, then the computer is the victim. Because the computer is open. Computer is open to the world, exactly like the victim. And the computer wishes to communicate. What computers do, they communicate exactly like the victim. And essentially, what you've constructed, or what you're talking about, is a malware model, a protection against malware, which involves intrusion detection and firewall. This classic way to protect a computer. This is very much a malware model. When we protect against malware in computers, so we have an intrusion detection system. So intrusion, alarm. Then the firewall takes over, having to pay the price of communicating with another.
Exactly.
So you're firewalling the victim, basically.
Yes, that is the
That's
goal.
what firewalls do. They reject certain communications and they accept certain communications. They're selective. It's a selective membrane.
Exactly.
So you're creating a selective membrane that does not allow certain communications to go through because they would be manipulative or harmful or whatever. And then you convert the outgoing signals so that they don't disclose vulnerabilities.
And I think that it has the potential to do that. So I think it gives a lot of potential for people
like protective communication.
Exactly.
I mean, kind of came up with the idea of protective communication, which would not allow someone to breach your defenses, your boundaries, manipulate you, leverage your emotions against you, etc., by not disclosing these vulnerabilities and these emotions. Simply.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I think it's you've identified, I think, a missing bit in the jigsaw puzzle, and that is communication skills of victims when they are forced to interact with narcissists and psychopaths. Increasingly, psychopaths are becoming more prevalent than narcissists. The incidence of psychopathy is rising. Incidence of narcissism has stabilized more or less. The psychopaths are becoming more and more, you are more likely to come across a psychopath nowadays than, let's say, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Psychopaths are not narcissists. There are major differences between the two. And psychopaths, but your application or your general direction of thinking could be applicable to psychopaths as well. However, psychopaths are not going to react to gray rock. They're going to react to other things, but not to gray rock. So in due time, next stage of evolution, maybe, or of your product.
Maybe we'll have to have a follow-up call to understand what parameters. So then when we train our model, we'll understand how to start to look for that.
The problem is that some narcissists are also psychopaths. They're known as malignant narcissists. These narcissists are less responsive to gray rock and similar techniques. So we need to I think your next stage of evolution of your product, you may wish to kind of incorporate techniques to cope with psychopathic narcissists and psychopaths.
Yeah.
Because they're taking over. Narcissists, even narcissists are becoming submissive to psychopaths. Psychopaths are the next stage in evolution, it seems. So it's a dangerous environment out there. 40 years ago, narcissists were much more prevalent than psychopaths. Not today.
And what do you think accounts for that?
It's a positive adaptation. It enhances self-efficacy. Narcissism is a compromised version because narcissists are childlike. Narcissists are focused on their attention seekers. So they're addicts. Narcissists are junkies. Psychopaths are the pushers. So we're transitioning from a junkie environment to a pusher environment. And psychopaths are far more in control of their reality testing. So they're far more attuned to reality. They are goal-oriented. They are usually intelligent. Narcissists are compromised by the fantasy. They're delusional. They're not grounded in reality. They're self-defeating. Many of them are self-destructive as well. They are highly addicted to narcissistic supply. In the absence of supply, they fall apart. And because they're highly addicted to supply, they're actually highly dependent people. They depend on other people. That limits them. That limits them, and they're not very efficacious. Narcissists are not efficient. Psychopathic narcissists are the most efficient, and second place is psychopaths. Because psychopaths are able to manipulate you and to redesign reality in ways which are essentially undefeatable, ways which are, and that is the most extreme danger. I am much more terrified of psychopaths than of narcissists. Narcissists are delusional children, simply.
Yeah.
Delusional children. Psychopaths are maximizing machines, animals. They are predators, apex predators. And they have all the tools at their disposal. They have reality testing, they have intelligence, they have lack of empathy, and they're not delusional. They know exactly what they're doing. They plan, they execute. You wouldn't want to confront a psychopath.
Are they byproduct of nature or nurture? Is the psychopath, is it a byproduct of nature or nurture?
Mostly nature. There is a very powerful hereditary component in psychopathy, and there are pronounced brain abnormalities in psychopathy. We did not find this with narcissists. It is not true that the brains of narcissists are different. They're not. Whatever differences there may be, probably are the outcome of narcissism, not the cause of narcissism. And they're minimal. They're pretty minimal. Definitely, we failed to find a hereditary component, although I have no doubt that there is one. But hitherto, we failed to find it. With psychopathy, the brain is almost unrecognizable. The amount of white matter, the size of the amygdala, the limbic system, the dopaminergic pathway, the dopamine processing pathway, everything is dramatically different to a normal brain, to a human brain, so to speak. So psychopaths definitely have a different brain. Not only do they have a different brain, they have a different physiology. For example, psychopaths, even when they're scared, they don't sweat. There's no sweating. The skin conductance of psychopaths is so different to human skin conductance that sometimes, on rare occasions, it defeats polygraph. So it's not only the brain, it's the whole body that is completely different. And the terrifying thing about psychopaths is that they are laser focused on the goal, and anything standing between them and the goal is to be dispensed with in whatever way it takes. And because they are grounded in reality, it's very difficult to catch them or even to identify them, because they are great at simulation, mimicry, and at manipulating the environment and at convincing people. And they're much more serious than narcissists. Narcissists are pathetic. Narcissists are clownish. Because a narcissist comes up with a narrative or a story, and it's a fantasy, and he believes in this fantasy, and in this fantasy he's godlike, and you're a goddess at the beginning to start with, in the love bombing stage. And it's all very, very childlike. A narcissist shared fantasy is the way a child would imagine the world in many ways. It's pitiful. I find narcissists pitiful, basically. They harm people and so on, but they harm people the way a child would harm people if a child were given adult weapons and adult instruments and adult access. It's not the same with psychopaths. Psychopaths really mean business, and they are really, really what might be called evil. In the medieval ages, we would have said that these are demons or evil people. Of course, we don't use this language anymore. But there is this element of premeditation. There is this element of harmful intent. And there is definitely an element of sadism. That's why malignant narcissists, these are people who are diagnosed with narcissism, psychopathy, and sadism. And that's why we have dark tetrad. Dark tetrad is subclinical psychopathy, subclinical narcissism, but also sadism. Sadism is a prominent feature of psychopathy, which is absent in narcissism. It's not true that narcissists are sadists. I mean, there's a tiny proportion of narcissists who are sadists, but not more than the general population. Narcissists are not sadists. They're simply deluded. They're nuts, simply nuts. Psychopaths are sadists. They enjoy your pain. They find it laughable. Very frequently, the psychopath's idea of a sense of humor is to torture you. They find it hilarious, you know? And so there's no common language and common ground with a psychopath. You can't negotiate with them, compromise with them, talk to them, reason with them, agree with them, contract with them, nothing. Psychopath is cut off from you because he doesn't see you, but it's not that he doesn't see you the way the narcissist. Narcissist doesn't see you because the narcissist internalizes you. You become an internal object. The psychopath doesn't see you because you don't matter. You're irrelevant. On the way to the goal, if you happen to be there, he will trample over you or run you over with a car, literally, on the way to the goal. You don't exist. When you are useful, you do exist for the duration of the usefulness. Expiry date, you're gone. So psychopaths regard other people as useful objects or irrelevant objects, but always objects. Narcissists regard other people as sources of supply and as potential playmates